Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a very hot July morning. Uh, Summer is announcing itself. And so for those of you who love the heat, you are loving today. For those of you who prefer the winter, you are miserable. So, as always, we shall start with our icebreaker. And I think, one thing I've never said is that I always do the icebreaker, but if anybody ever has one, please always feel free um, to volunteer to start us off. I've never ever said that before, but I want to open that up. Okay, so today, um, I would like to know, um, what is something that you sh think should be illegal and is not? It could be an actual item. It could be, um, you know, so, um, it could be something silly. So, for instance, one of the th like insurance determining when you are recovered, not you know, um, that to me feels silly. They're not involved in your treatment. So that to me should be illegal. That needs to change.
I have so many actually,
Let's
but
go. Bring it
well,
on.
I'm gonna give one for today. And this is so random and like kind of serious, but like not. But I was just a conversation I was having with my mother because we were at the store and we were buying sunscreen. And I feel like it should be illegal to charge people to buy sunscreen when we don't have a choice but to protect ourselves from the sun and getting cancer and sunburn. And I think that is absolutely ridiculous that it is so expensive to protect yourself from something that you have no, like, I'm not doing anything to myself by being outside. You know what I'm saying? I think
No,
that should
that's
be
fair.
illegal.
Going off the
That's
realm, I'm gonna go glasses. I didn't choose not to be able to see. I wake up every day and I can't see, and my vision keeps getting worse. I got to keep replacing the glasses, but don't worry, insurance covers the frames. You know, the part you don't see out of. So yeah, I didn't sign up for that. And it's really expensive. I just want to be able to see.
okay. So going off of the prescription idea, right? Why do prescription companies, why are they allowed to put commercials on TV? Like, I can't choose that I want Jardian over Ozempic. My doctor prescribes that to me. So, like, why is that legal?
Why do we pay for water? Why do we pay for fruits? These are things that the earth bear naturally. That should be free. That should be free everywhere. The cleaning of water should be free. That should be free. That they should never capitalize off of like fruits and water. Now, animals, I get it, like selling animals, butchering animals, fine. But water and fruits and vegetables, that should definitely be free.
Fair point, Milicia.
I have another
Melicia's
one.
Garden
Um,
2027.
Yeah, I love that idea. 10 out of 10. I have one that's a little bit more silly and it's kind of a hot take, but it is literally my biggest pet peeve. Well, okay, biggest is dramatic. One of my biggest, I think it should be illegal to talk on the phone when you are in line at a cash register or buying something. Because tell me why it takes people 100 years because they're on the phone and they're trying to do what they're doing. And I am like, we got to move it along here. I think it should be illegal. I don't think you should be able to be on your phone while you're in line trying to check out, pay for something, etc.
Can I add to that? I think it should be illegal to be on speakerphone in a store. Why do I have to hear your whole conversation?
People at the gym are like basically holding business calls sometimes when I go, man. I once in a while I get it. You got to pick up real quick. The other day, someone was doing a crossword puzzle on the machine, like, and it's already a rule. It's already a rule. But maybe if it was illegal, they'd stop doing it.
Oh my God, I
How
have
do
so many more. I could keep going.
Charisma, I know Charisma has son and she's just being quiet right now.
I mean, like the only one I can think of that aggravates me the most is when people drive really slow on the highway. That crap should be illegal. Like, don't pull me over for not I'm doing the speed limit, obviously. Um, but like don't pull me over because I'm going 68 versus 65, but like not pull over the person that's going 35 in a 65.
In New
Okay?
York, it's illegal to go
Yeah,
slow.
it should be illegal everywhere. Okay? Actually, it should be illegal to have really, really low mile per hour, like speed limits, because for whatever reason, Connecticut, some of them are 40 miles per hour. That should be illegal. No,
I feel the
not
same way
acceptable.
about certain people there. I feel like you should need like a sticker to drive in the rain or something. Some people really can't drive in the rain. And that's fine. That's fine. It scares some people and that's okay, but then you need to save up your PTO time and use it. Because yeah, they're going so slow and I can't be getting anywhere. Just some water.
Um, Actually, around driving, this is one of mine where it is illegal in plenty of states, but it's not illegal in Connecticut, which is you sh anybody who is on a motorcycle or something should have to wear a helmet. It is the most distressing thing anytime that I didn't know that when I first moved it over to Connecticut that it wasn't mandatory, and it's like not, and same with, it's like that in Hawaii. I don't know what other states, but I think that's absolutely bonkers. But I was trying to think of stuff, and pretty much if you could think of anything that Larry David has complained about, that's probably, I'm pretty much on the same page as him for anything that's ever happened in Curb or um anywhere. Like I agree with everything. I'll complain about pretty much anything.
Now
Ugh.
that Lauren brought that up, I do have one. Teenagers on the e-bikes or mopeds,
Mm,
eh, not necessarily, maybe not illegal, but they definitely need some force like anybody else that's on the road because the amount of accidents that have happened within the span of like 2 weeks, and they're very young. I mean, the youngest I've seen was like a 12-year-old. And I'm just like, come on, like it's so sad. And they're not wearing helmets. Although I did see that anyone under the age of 16 is required to wear a helmet. So, but yeah, they need some. It should be illegal for those things to be on the out on the road.
All right, Mariah, you got one more for us?
Yes, I have a lot more. Again, this comes up in conversation a lot. I don't know why, but my family and I talk about this kind of stuff all the time. I think it should be illegal to have to pay to park when you are visiting a children's hospital. I feel like if you are going to visit a children's hospital because you have a child or a relative or somebody who is a child at said hospital, you should not have to pay insane amounts of money to park there.
I think all hospitals. I don't care if you're visiting your grandma or your child. I think
Let's lump it
all,
in.
it's just
Lump it in.
wild. It's just a
Lump it in.
wild
I
concept
agree.
here, man.
You're visiting a hospital, you should not have to pay to park because the amount of money that my family, and I'm sure Charisma can relate, has spent paying to park to visit tiny children is asinine. It should be illegal. Wholeheartedly agree because I'm sorry, like, why are you already charging like $1 million a night per room? Okay. When it's like $30 a park for 24 hours. Like, what are we doing here? Are we okay? Like, yeah. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
All right. Well, we definitely needed a dump button for Mariah, not for Mel this time.
wait, I have
That
one more.
that is a change up. Go
This is a
ahead,
really
Lauren.
personal one. This is personal. I would like to personally make it illegal for my father to be able to be allowed to eat crunchy foods or popcorn, um,
Does he like
ever.
chew with his mouth open?
It's the loudest thing I've ever
Oh,
heard. We went to my cousin's wedding. I don't know how this man found popcorn, but we went to go take a picture with my cousin, the bride, and there was some wind, and this man's holding like this thing of popcorn, and popcorn just blowing everywhere at my cousin, the bride,
Can we get this
while he's
photo,
eating
please?
popcorn, and we're all yelling at him. And so I'm petitioning for it to be made illegal for my father personally to be allowed to have these things.
I mean, if we can see the photo, some of us might sign that petition, Lauren. Riley, you got my
I haven't
backs on that?
captured it, thank God. That was
I
it
just
was
need some photo
insane.
evidence, and then you got my signature. You got my cat and my bunnies too. Don't worry.
Oh my God.
All right, so that was fun. Thank you all for indulging. And I mean, Mariah, I'm loving that your family has this conversation. I might have to, might be the next dinner topic at my house. So, um, today we want to take some time to just step back and review uh, how we can deal with, protect ourselves, and the process for when there is an abuse or neglect allegation. And for those of us who haven't done a mandated reporter training in a minute, I think this is a really good review. And hopefully you'll just take one little nugget away that says, oh, I forgot that piece. And so let me ask you all, how long do we have to file 136 or a suspicion of abuse or neglect with DCF?
Wait, because so normally when you hear or suspect, you can make that report immediately, but overall should be within 12 hours that a report has to be made.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Michelle. You have 12 hours from when you first hear about the, we'll call it the news, and to make that first contact with the DCF care line or hotline, whichever you call them. And Michelle, you said a call. And you're not wrong. You can absolutely make a call. These days, you can use the portal. There is a portal now where you can enter your concern. The portal is for non-emergent. So that means that the child will not face the danger within 20, within the next 24 hours. So has anybody here used the portal? No. Okay. So my understanding is that the portal is pretty easy to use. So the portal would be a child reports to anybody that in 2 years ago, grandma inappropriately touched them. The child is not having contact with grandma currently, and there is no plans for them to have contact with grandma. That could be something you go to the portal with, if that makes sense. Okay, because that is non-emergent. So after you make your phone call, if you make a phone call to the care line, how long do you have to get in your written report?
Within 48 hours, I believe I have that correct.
24. You gave
24.
yourself
Okay.
24. Yep.
24 hours.
You have 24. Thank you, Riley. So it did used to be 48. They have shrunk it down because we all have nothing else to do. So it is 24. Yes. So who is mandated reporters? Are we mandated reporters? Yeah, go ahead, Mel. Please.
Anybody on their team, whether that be therapists, teachers, doctors, counselors, DCF workers, anybody that's on their team, foster parents, everyone is a mandated reporter.
This also includes like coaches for sports, nurses, doctors.
You got it.
Dentists, they all fall under that umbrella.
You got it. So pretty much, Mel, you are correct. The entire team, right, is a mandated reporter. And so if we file a report, let's just say something is concerning to us at a visit, whether it is regarding the foster parent, whether it is regarding something the child said, can we tell the foster parent that we have filed?
Malicia, I love your expression.
I
I
know.
believe
I'm
it's
like,
yes. I just want to make sure. Like,
I
yeah.
know. I was waiting for Mel to answer because I was like, I think she wants to say it, but I'm not sure.
So who's gonna say it? Because nobody said it yet.
Oh, Mel did. She said
yes,
yes.
yes, you do
Yes.
let the foster parent know.
Yes. 98% of the time, we can let the foster parent know that we have filed. There is a 2% of time if where it is a concern about safety, that we will not tell a foster parent. If there's a concern that us telling someone will put a youth in danger, then obviously the safety always comes first. But yes, Mel, you are correct. The answer is yes, we can tell with that exception of safety. If a foster parent is filing a report, do they tell? Do they tell us? Do they tell whomever they're filing on? What does that look like?
The idea I would hope is that our foster parents would feel comfortable enough to let us know what is going on and they would let us know that they filed the 136. But it's also not something that whoever they're making the report against, they don't have to tell that person.
Sorry, Mariah, can you take over for just a second and continue the conversation about what it looks like for a foster parent to call in?
Go ahead, Michelle, if you want to keep going with what you were saying there.
Yeah, they don't have to tell the individual that they're making the report on. If it's in regards to the child that's placed in their home, it's something that it could be broached, I feel, upon and letting them know, like, they're concerned about their safety and they want to make sure that they're okay. And have the team included in that conversation if they feel like they're struggling with it as well.
And I think you make a good point, Michelle, as far as it really is about the kid, right? And how that youth is managing it, reacting to it, age appropriate, all of those things come into play as far as it goes around what a foster parent is going to share with the child and what that piece looks like when they are going to make a report.
So sorry. So I let the team know, but I'll let everybody know. For those of you who remember back in the winter months, we were doing this, and all of a sudden in the middle of the group, I said, "Oh my God, my ceiling's dripping water." That was somebody is here to fix the ceiling dripping water. And so that was them just needing something from me. So I apologize. Apparently, our recording time is the time for my ceiling to need attention in. So moving forward, yes, Michelle, thank you, and Mariah, thank you so much. Can a support person from our team assist in calling in if the foster parent has never done it before? Can someone who's done that with a foster parent,
I've done it in the past.
can you talk about that a little bit, Michelle?
Yeah, our foster parent felt a little uncomfortable, not really sure what to say. Just with some of the questions that when the person is taking the report, when a 136 is called, there's additional questions that they'll ask. And so when I helped the family make the call, there were certain questions that we were able to shed some light on. And if we were if there was a question that that when making the call in that one of their questions that we're not sure of, it's okay to say, "I'm not sure, I'm not aware." Like those statements are okay to say during that phone call.
Yeah, and now with the invention of the phone, or particularly the iPhone, right? It's really easy to do three-way calling. So thanks, Michelle, for sharing that experience. When there is an investigation on one of our foster homes, it should go to a special unit. It's called SIU, Special Investigations. It is not, they should not be investigated by the local area office, and that is to keep it neutral. And so I think most people here have interacted with SIU. You guys anybody want to talk about that experience? What most of the investigators are like?
I've
Interactions.
dealt with an SIU investigation. I know typically we meet them at their home with the foster parents just to provide that support. Just to provide the support with the youth in terms of answering certain questions, making them feel safe and comfortable, letting them know what some of the questions may look like. So that's what I've done as a case manager and then as an FSS as well.
Same thing. I've done that several times. Met with SIU and foster parents as an investigation is getting started. And I would say in my experience, honestly, they've all been pretty wonderful. All the SIU investigators that I've interacted with have been, and I would assume, I don't want to say this for sure, but because I don't know, but Mindy, Michelle, feel free to jump in. But I would assume because it is that special investigations unit, they are familiar with foster care. They are familiar with kind of some of the nuances to the system. And in my experience, that has really helped because they're coming into it with that information, that background, that knowledge. And so they're able to really look at it through that lens versus a more traditional just area office investigation. And I think that's been beneficial for them to have that information and experience.
Yeah, Mariah, I would agree with you. They do have a little bit of a different lens, which is part of the reason it is going to a special unit. The majority of the time, they will have had a conversation with Michelle or myself before our team is meeting them at the house. They have some background of the dynamics of the house. Sometimes they'll have even had a conversation with whomever's meeting them at the house too, right? Depending on how things are playing out. But they have some background on the house from Michelle or I, and again, what is the treatment looking like? What are the other use in the home? The level of need, those types of things. And so we're able to prep them for how to ask questions. Please don't just, this is how you have to introduce yourself. You should engage with Legos, or you should go for a walk, those types of things. And obviously sometimes that's not feasible, but we do try and do all of that work as well to make it as smooth as possible. And we do try and ask them to connect with the direct FFT team. I know where I work. At least at some point, even if it can't be before, because recognizing that, well, we have the licensing side and the dynamics of the house, you all have the much more clinical piece, and that is going to be important in understanding what is going on, as well as if any conversations regarding the allegation, the situation have come up in the treatment, which Michelle and I would not necessarily know, nor the details. And so then that investigation lasts 45 days. It doesn't mean that for 45 days, you as the FFT team or the family is going to have constant contact. It's usually about 2 or 3 times up front in that initial, 2 weeks or so. And then in all likelihood, none of us will hear again until kind of that last 2 or 3 weeks. And so we can check in, we can ask what's going on, but usually we won't hear again until they're wrapping up. They're doing a lot of behind the scenes work, checking in with pediatricians, checking in with the school. They may reach out to you via email or a quick text saying like, hey, how are things going? But most of the time we don't hear. We'll usually get a feel for where they're going with things. But most of the time it is just those initial 2 or 3 weeks and those last 2 or 3 weeks that we're going to have those interactions with them. Anything to add about that?
I think the only thing I would add, because I'm not sure if we clarified this and if this is one of those things that we know but we didn't say out loud, the support that you're speaking to, Mindy, around us being present and, the FFT team supporting if there is clinical concerns, that extends whether the 136 that was filed is about the identified FFT foster youth or another youth that's in that home. That support is also a piece of that as well with our foster parents.
Yeah, thank you, Mariah. That is a great point. The 136, if there is a call about another youth in the home that is not an FFT youth, it will still come. It will still come to us. We will get notified at it. To Mariah's point, we might not have as much clinical information about a youth that is no longer open with FFT, but we will still talk to SIU. We will still let them know what our treatment looked like with that youth, what the needs of the whole household are, things of that nature. It is about a 50-50 if we're going to meet out at the home at that point, because we don't necessarily have rights to the youth that they're going to talk to, so we can't necessarily be involved in all of the conversation. And so we're just going to talk to you about that. Do you still need us there? Or, do you just want to call us if there's questions that you're unable to answer, those types of things. But yes, great point, Mariah. Thank you. And so the last thing I want to talk about is how can all of us sort of, and I don't want to say protect ourselves from an investigation. If we do this long enough, there will be an investigation. It doesn't mean that we did something wrong. It could be that the youth goes into school and says, I haven't had breakfast in 4 days, right? And it's not that the youth didn't actually have breakfast. It's that they didn't have the blueberry muffin they wanted, and the school doesn't do their due diligence in asking follow-up questions, right? And so now there's a 136. So how do we protect ourselves so that when that call does go in, it is easily explained. It is easily knocked and to an unsubstantiation. Mel, you got something? Or was that an accident?
Well, typically what I do is I take notes. I take very thorough notes. Whether that be, I put it in documentation in Care 4 if we're in FSS, or in a case in our notes that we do for case management, so that when it's explained, it's within chronological order, the appropriate way, inform my supervisors of everything, the incident, kind of talk through what the conversation should look like, so we're all on the same page and you're not oversharing or undersharing information. And also meet and talk to the foster parents.
Yeah, what do some of the conversations look like with foster parents? Like, I guess my question is I think some foster parents feel that like we're intrusive, we're nosy, we're asking silly things. And does some of what the nosy things we're asking to speak to this piece?
Well, you kind of prepare them for that part. Like, I'm going to have to get all in the ass in order for me to be able to help you. And so
there she is,
right,
lady.
Right. So that might require me to ask these very uncomfortable questions, because they will be asked to you. So we want to make sure that you're prepared for that part. So I typically, for me, in my experience, I'm always honest around that. And I already say uncomfortable, not normal things to foster parents, so that they're kind of prepared for that as well.
Just one day I want to be in your head, Mel. Just one day. Even for 10 minutes. I don't know if I can make it 10 minutes, but one day I want to be in your brain. Other thoughts? That's great, Mel. I love all of that you're doing your due diligence to help protect.
I'm weary of saying this because I think there's a fine line between documenting and reporting and making yourself crazy with documenting and reporting everything. So I think for me, it's encouraging foster parents, if there's something that is out of the ordinary or a bigger situation, then go ahead and document that and report it, So if the kid falls off their bike and they have a tiny scrape on their knee, no, maybe we don't need to report that. But if the kid falls off their bike and they're scraped all the way down their arm and all the way down their leg, yes, make sure we document and just make note of that type of a situation. Again, it's a very fine line between what is going to make yourself crazy because kids are going to fall, kids are going to get hurt, kids are going to refuse breakfast. Like those things are going to happen on a regular basis. But when it's a pattern or when it's something that is big and out of the ordinary, go ahead and shoot us a text and just let us know, hey, this just happened, um, so that you're communicating and documenting it. And ultimately that helps if and when something should come up later down the road.
I agree, Mariah. I think that documentation is key. I am going to qualify that please be mindful of time when you text somebody. Email is also a great option. Um, all of us, a lot of us do um don't, just again, I'm just going to leave it at please be mindful of time when you are texting to document something. An email might be more appropriate at the time, understanding that someone's phone may not be fully shut off and that at 9 p.m. at night may not be the time for a text. It might be via email. Um, other things, guys.
I was just going to say that sometimes the details that seem silly to us really matter in the investigations. That's why they have to ask questions that might come off as silly. So it's always important, like Michelle mentioned, like I don't know is an answer because you'd rather give the honest answer than trying to come up with something. So I don't know is an answer. And sometimes, again, those silly questions are really important to the investigation, and that's what matters.
Riley, that's such a great point. I think for me, the other thing adding to that is not get like, I don't know, doesn't it makes you non-defensive, but staying calm. When we're having these conversations with you, when an investigator is having a conversation with you, trying to stay calm, even if you need to take, like, I know there are times that an investigator has called me and I have wanted to scream at what I'm hearing the accusation is. And so even if I have to say to the investigator, can you give me a minute? I'm a little shocked. I need to process this. And, taking that minute for myself, because there are times that I am utterly appalled at what I have just heard. And so remembering that the investigator is just doing their job, they are a middleman in this. They are not the ones that made the accusation. That has always helped me because the more I get defensive with them, I think it does make the process harder. And asking for that space if you need it. We're all human. I know Mariah, Michelle, and and I think everybody on the whole team, there are times where we're like, what just happened? So again, taking that space, taking that time to process it if you need it before you engage, has been very helpful. Any final thoughts on this whole process of making the 136, what it looks like when they come out, how to protect ourselves and engage with them, engage with an investigator?
I was just going to say we covered a lot in a short amount of time, so it's okay if you don't remember it all. You can always ask for a refresher. That's never a bad thing, because the numbers they are specific based on the timeline. So if you ever need to ask, that's always okay. But again, I think remaining calm and giving yourself grace is also important in those moments.
I agree, Riley. I think that is great. Asking the questions. I think the first time it happens to you, it is shocking. It feels personal, even though it's not. And so I think at that moment, you do need to ask questions.
I was also gonna say is like recognizing there's a level of seriousness to it. Like, yes, like we may think that what we're being accused of or what someone else is being accused of, what we're accusing someone of may or may not be silly, but filing this report is not something that is silly. Going through with the, whole process is not silly. It's very serious and, obviously we need to report the things that we need to report. There's no doubting that part. But, when it happens to you, it's like Mindy said, like take that moment of like, okay, holy crap, like this is happening. But also recognizing that like I can't be silly in this moment. I can't make a joke. I can't necessarily I kind of have to have that level of professionalism in that moment and really keep my head together. That way I'm ensuring that I'm covering myself, I'm covering the child, I'm protecting everybody that I can protect in that moment.
That's a great point, Charisma, right? Doing what you need, that yes, you are still the foster parent. Yes, this is still your life, and maybe your defense mechanism is sarcasm or whatever, or humor, but recognizing that also there needs to be a level of professionalism with the SIU. Having an SIU person show up at your house and offering them a beer is not going to be the right path. I think for me, if I can offer this, using this as an opportunity as well. Something triggered all of this. And so how can FFT help? What conversation, how can we use this as a tool for communication? So I think for me that is also there. What was the antecedent to all of this? What precipitated this? And how can we move through this? And what conversations, what positive things can come out of all of this? We always say crisis is an opportunity. And while maybe this isn't crisis as in the sense of 911, what can we take away from this? And one final thought. This will happen. If you do this long enough, this will happen. And so just take a deep breath, give us a call, and we will do everything we can to support you. So on that note, please pour yourself a nice tall glass of lemonade or iced tea filled with ice and kick back and enjoy the summer. Have a great one, everybody.